Welcome to a GBT-14 rulings video. Bushiroad Japan has issued some rulings for the latest booster set. Special thanks to Josh Errata for providing me translations, because we all know reading is hard. But before we begin, we have an Errata update from Bushiroad Southeast Asia with bullshit so tilting. They should fire their translation team for messing up the ZRs. Great Galactic Beast Zeal now lets you use its extra ability if your damage is also equal to your opponent. Dragon Deity of Destruction GZ only deals damage to the opponent's vanguard and not hurting them physically. And Neon GZ goes into the G zone when someone rides over him and not when you ride him. With that out of the way, let's begin. What happens if I ultimate stride into Ultima and activate its ability, but the previous turn the opponent used Obtyrandus? You still search for cards from your deck, and since you can't superior call, place all 4 of the cards on the top of your deck in any order. During the turn I ultimate stride into Ultima, would rescue checks count towards giving all of my units that triggers effect? Yes, as long as you paid the cost for Ultima's skill. What happens when I used Ultima against Planetary Corpse King Brand? Other than the plus 5k power, everything else will be changed and spread to all units as such. For critical triggers, all of your units get a -1 critical during that battle. For stand triggers, all of your units will be put in rest position, but the current battle still continues. For heal triggers, you take 1 damage. And for draw triggers, all of your units will be retired. Ultima retired by the draw trigger will return to the G zone face up, and will then exclude your entire G zone. Also the attack will be cancelled, and further drive checks can't be performed. The heart will return back being the vanguard following the same state as Ultima, in rest position. Can my opponent intercept if I use Dust? No, Dust removes all the opponent's abilities including the ability to intercept. If my vanguard is Immortal Holy Sword Fides, my brave unit rearguard with 11k power attacks the opponent's vanguard with 16k power. Will the attack hit if he didn't guard? No, Fides only ignores power if they have exactly 1 guardian. However, if the guardian is 0 or 2 or more, he will compare the power as usual. If my vanguard is Immortal Holy Sword Fides and the opponent guards my brave unit's attack with only 1 guardian, but it gave a cannot be hit ability to the unit being attacked, will the brave unit's attack still hit? No, cannot be hit if X will take precedence over Fides's ability. If my vanguard is Immortal Holy Sword Fides, my brave unit rearguard attacks and opponent guards with only a Denial Griffin retiring my attacking rearguard, does my attack still hit? No, the rearguard disappears before the power comparison even happens, hence it will not hit. When do I get the extra turn from Chronovisor Heritage's skill? Your extra turn will only start after you properly end your current turn, so your end of turn abilities will still activate. Using Shiranui Rin skill and my opponent calls out units with resist, can I dominate them? Yes, because the effect already selected them, while the cards are still on the opponent's hand, where resist is not yet active. Once they're called, you simply dominate all of them. You no longer need to choose them again when they are on the rear guard. If Shiranui Rin forced me to call 2 cards from my hand and seal their auto abilities, can I choose to call Gastil and activate his continuous ability? Yes you may, as it is a continuous ability. However, even if Gastil copies the auto abilities from the soul, the non-Nubatama player cannot activate them. If Shiranui Zanki uses its ride phase ability, which player will superior call a unit first? All players will call at the same time. The best method to do this is choose the card you want to call and place it face down until all players have decided on their card to call, then flip it face up and call it at the same time. If my vanguard is GZ, what happens if my opponent uses Shiranui Zanki or Rin? Nothing happens. You cannot call anything other than a Zerath dragon. Domination also doesn't happen, since nothing was called by Rin. Same case with Zanki's force call ability. The Zanki player will still have to call a rear guard, but the GZ player cannot. My lesser writer gets dominated, and the Nubatama player has a rear guard that has 20k plus power. Does my lesser writer become successful? Yes, it will return back to your control at the end of domination as successful as well, which means all your success unit, including your vanguard, will gain the plus 2k power and resist from his skill. I stride into Balam, and if I have 3 face-up cards in the G zone, is it possible to soul charge 3 or lower cards? You can only soul charge in multiple of 2, 4, 6, 8, and so on. If I call a grade 1 unit on top of Slaptail Dragon, will the grade 1 unit gain plus 3k power? Yes it will. Slaptail Dragon's ability will stand by before being retired, and the standby ability will then be resolved as much as possible. Can I use the Brave G Guard, Defend Hold Dragon, or the Dark Irregular Perfect Guard, Acre Seal, on my Vanguard if it's deleted, or has been removed of all abilities by dust? No you cannot. Defend Hold Dragon requires to choose a unit with Brave ability and Acre Seal requires to choose a unit with Darkness ability. Because your Vanguard's text and abilities have all been erased, they are not valid targets anymore. Can I bind 3 Xerath dragons if I have 3 Neon G's face up in the G zone? No you cannot. Neon G's skill is a continuous ability that cannot stack with each other. Hence you can only bind up to 1 Xerath dragon per trigger check. If I have 3 Neon G's face up in the G zone and my Vanguard is a grade 1 Cray Elemental, can I discard the same grade 1 as my Vanguard to ultimate stride into any of the Xerath dragon? Yes you may. A Xerath dragon's requirements is 3 face up cards in the G zone. As long as that is fulfilled and cost is properly paid, you may ultimate stride at any grade. Furthermore, Cray Elementals belong to all nations, which makes it possible to ultimate stride into any of the Xerath dragon of your choice. Can I use Neon G's as a cost for my G assist? Yes, you may remove it either from the hand or from the G zone. Will Neon G's also be excluded from the G zone if during the end phase any of the Xerath dragon returns to the G zone after being in ultimate stride? Yes. If my Vanguard is GZ, can I intercept with my grade 2 rear guards that was previously placed as locked by a deluge from previous turns? No, because all your units will not be affected by anything other than your GZ and your guardians. This includes the ability of interception, which means you can't even move your rear guards to the guardian circle. If you use Neon GZ in the G zone as a cost for a G assist, what happened to the Xerath dragons in the bind zone? They will stay in the bind zone. If Neon GZ is removed from the G zone, can I call a Xerath dragon from the bind zone to the rear guard by using card effects like Bull Power Agrius? Yes you can, and since you called a G unit at the end phase, it will return back to the G zone face up. If Neon GZ is removed from the G zone, what happens if a Xerath dragon gets sent from the bind zone to drop zone? It will return back to G zone face up. And that concludes this GBT-14 rulings video. Be sure to subscribe and let me know in the comments any rulings you want to ask, so I can ignore them.